too much, just cut me off because you know I know how to.
That's okay. No. I want, I was promised a rant. I want a rant.
Well, I'll wait till you press record because it's funny. But then I'll tell you about what happened last night and how that was like we burning down the whole thing. We just burning it down to the ground.
Woo! All right, ready? Hello, all those beautiful faces. How we doing? Stephanie and checking in with another episode of Class Disruption. And today we're going to be talking about with Just a BX Mom, Melissa. But before we get into it, I'm going to ask you to make a small donation to my nonprofit, Making History with Miss Edmonds, to support the work I do in my classroom with my students. You can check out our adventures at Making History with Miss Edmonds on Instagram. And of course, I'm going to need for you to smash that like button. If you're new here, welcome. Hit that subscribe and that bell so you get notified every time I drop a video. And of course, share this video. That is the most important thing that you can do so we can spread this disruption all around the globe. All right, and like I said, today we're going to be talking with Just a BX Mom, Melissa. She has a daughter who attends a school in New York City. And we're going to talk all about parenting. We're going to talk about this new phenomenon, which if you saw my last video, we talked about pods and micro schools. She's going to talk about her experience and what she's doing with those. And we just have...
it wasn't going to be long.
This isn't that long. Look at me. I'm doing good. One take.
It has to be a long No, it has to be. It has to
and we
be
have
not long.
lots of cute moments talking about this guy and her little one who actually has her own business, Just About NYC. Check it out. Awesome products. And I mean, come on. You gotta support the kid. All right. And follow Melissa too. Just the BX Mom on Instagram. And apparently I'm taking too long. So without any further ado, let's get into it.
My group, we're involved parents, and I'm not, that's not a judgment on any other parent. After the first chancellor's meeting, I put up a post about it to give parents information, and I left it though with the idea, I get it. We work hard. I'm a solo parent. I juggle many hats. We know this. So I work hard, but I'm able to, because of the flexibility of my schedule, I'm able to be there for your kid. So a lot of times, the advocacy I do is not for my child. It's not for her as a student, but it's for the students in her class. It's for the students in her school that have parents that can't advocate for them because they gotta put food on the table. Like I get it. I get why parents can't go to every parent-teacher meeting and PTA meetings and fundraisers and all the fun stuff all the time because they gotta make sure those bills are paid and those lights are on.
Exactly.
So I'm the one that'll sit there during those times with the kids that are crying in the corner because their mom or dad or grandpa or uncle or whoever their adult is can't be there, and giving them more attention I give my daughter at the events because I know she knows I'm there.
I was going to say, and she knows that.
Yeah, so, and I said that in my last post about it, where I'm okay being that person. I'm okay advocating for somebody else's child, whether you just don't have the time or you just don't have the ability to do it. But this isn't the time for us not to do that. You can get on a Zoom call while you're at work, take a 5-minute bathroom break and jump on a Zoom conference call to find out what's happening with your kid's school. The last meeting, there were 23,000 people signed into. The meeting last night, there was less than 10,000 people signed into. That makes no sense. We have 1.1 million kids in our system. There's no reason that parents aren't there. And I get some of the parents don't know about it. And that's kind of what we were talking about last night in my group. So I have two groups that have kind of been
wait, hold on. Are we jumping into this? Are we in it? Are we in the
thing
right now? All right. So let me just do a real quick introduction. I know, and I could always clip this and put this on. But let me do like a real quick thing. And then, you could let people know who you are. Let them know that you're not just out here talking. You got that clout. And then we'll get into it. All right?
Okay. I told you not to stop me.
Ooh, so we getting going on already, but welcome back, Melissa. I want to make it official. We just get right into the thick of it. But me and you, we talk all the time on social media. We did our thing. It was like we recorded it back in October, but then I released it in like February. So you've been on here, you know what Class Disruption is all about. But for anybody who's unfamiliar with you, like, let them know who you are, what you do, what you're all about, and you know, give us a little Just a BX girl in there too.
So I'm Melissa, the mind behind Just a BX Mom, which is a parenting lifestyle site that is pretty much everything parenting. It's the life, I don't want to say just lifestyle of me and my daughter, because I have a couple of writers that pop in there for guest appearances now and then. But it's basically the story of me and my kid. You know, I'm a solo parent. I want parents to know that whether you have 1 adult in the house or 12 adults in the house, parenting could and should be fun. So I share ways to do that on a budget. I'm not balling.
I like that. Budget.
You know, so I look for the discounts, you know, just like I talked about the zoo yesterday and how we love the zoo, but the zoo's expensive if you only go on one time. It's $35 a ticket. That's a lot of money when you have 2, 3, 4, 5 kids sometimes, or even if it's just 2 and then the kid wants everything inside. So I talk about how
we talked about that beforehand. We pre-prep them. Do not ask for anything or you will get nothing forever.
Yes. Listen, we go to Disney every year. She has a $10 gift shop budget. You get $10 a day you can spend.
Do they even let you look in the gift shop for $10?
We come home
that's like the entry fee.
We come home with a magnet.
Okay.
She knows this going in, and that's why I mean we could do a whole thing on how to do Disney on a budget, because we go every year and my kid knows. Don't ask me for that big ass plushie. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, I was proud of my son the other day because we went by the ice cream truck and he was like, "Mommy, I know we can't get ice cream from the truck because it's too expensive, but can we have ice cream at home?" And it was like, you know, before dinner time. I was like, when you ask like that, you can definitely have a bowl of ice cream before dinner.
Yes, exactly. That'd be my little one. She'd be like, "That's a little expensive." And I'm like, "You're right, and that's why we're not getting it, but we're gonna do this instead." But
exactly.
It's teaching them from early. But you know, that's the whole point of my blog, is so that you can have fun, but you don't have to always spend $1 million. You don't have to keep up with the Combses. You can set your own way. I've always been one about setting my own way. I believe in transparent parenting. You're not going to find a perfect square if you go into my social media. You're going to see mess. It's going to get raw. It's going to get real. I'm going to code switch here and there based on who's reading it and what brand I'm working with. But that's what it is. Like, I want parents to always know that they're their child's perfect parent. And it doesn't matter if you had a good day or bad day. And I'm not going to only share my good days, because if I only share my good days, then you're not going to trust me on the bad days. And I want to build trust. I'm a big believer in community building. My whole world has been kind of about community building since the start. I became a peer educator in 6th grade. And so conflict resolution has been with me since my early years. From there, I became a peer educator, going into doing youth development. So the whole first half of my life, the whole first chapter, that foundation was about community building. It was about investing in each other, about seeing the best in each other. So that's just stuck with me. You know, as I grew out of youth development, and was like, okay, I can't keep pouring myself into everybody else's lives, because then I'm coming home and I'm raw. And I was, you know, I did this in my teens, my 20s, up until I turned 30, and it was just too raw at that point. So that's when I switched to marketing. And then I did marketing, communications, worked in nightlife for too long. Then I became a mom, and it was like, okay, well, I can't work 7 days a week anymore, because I was working to not be on a discount. I was working so that I can jump on vacation, because my friends were like, let's go get pizza in Italy, and you know, grab your passport and we get in this plane because we just found this really cool round trip ticket. Or let's go out to brunch, and from brunch, let's go to dinner, and from dinner, let's go to the club, and from the club, let's go to work. You know,
but a kid comes along and they're like, real quick.
Let's pop those bricks real quick.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't need the $1,200 shoes, because we need to buy diapers.
Yeah. Have some food to eat that's not champagne.
You know, like, apple cider is really good for you, you know? So, you know, I've grown with it, but I've always been me, and I've always built a community around me. So kind of COVID hit, and I always had my communities here and there, and I have a really great, strong community on social media. My best friend, one of them lives by the Bronx Zoo, which is 15 minutes away from me. The other one lives in Orlando. I have another really close friend in Philadelphia. So it's not like we're always able to sit down and hold hands and kumbaya with each other, so we make it work. But I realize everybody doesn't have that. The other day, somebody put up this comment online about how if you have 3, you're lucky. I've been lucky and blessed in that, having that tenfold, because I'm about creating connections. So during this time, I've tried to really realize that a lot of people are lonely. A lot of people feel unsupported, even in a home full of other people. You know, they feel unsupported. So I started a moms group just for moms that follow me on Instagram. I used to do this monthly chat on Instagram called Single Mom Speaks. And it was all about single moms just giving our opinions and showing how we're all the same, but we're all different. It was a really powerful community. And we did it for about 1.5 years, where the beginning of the month we would get on and we talk about wearing a mask, and not the mask we wear now, but the mask we've been wearing our whole lives.
Okay.
We talk about, you know, how we set goals. We talk about something happening with parenthood. And it was really good because I felt like it was able to let other people see us. Other people see us beyond what they think the definition of a single mom is.
Right.
So you have moms that were widows on it. You have moms that are single moms by choice on it. You have moms that are divorced moms that came out of abusive relationships. You know, just different women that all at the end of the day are just doing our best. And then you have all these married moms or moms in relationships popping into the conversation because they're like, hey, I feel that. Hey, I've done that. So when this came along, it was on my heart to bring back that Single Mom Speaks. But I realized that from what I've learned, and I try to learn, everything's a teachable moment, was that it wasn't just the single moms that needed that community. So I just dropped the single and made it Mom Speaks, and it started with about 15 moms jumping on a Zoom call just like this. And then we moved over to Google Meets because that was completely free. Because again, looking for that discount. I'm not trying to pay for a premium account because when you got more than one person, they charge the premium. So
I got that school account. I'm running this through my school account. Don't tell.
Not secret. But it started like 15 moms, and now it's anywhere between 5 to 10 moms that jump on the call, and we just share. You know, we started doing themes. So I would do themes because I realized that when you don't know each other, it's hard to talk. Like I jumped in like, you know me. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this, so we're gonna do it full. So like the second meeting, I want to talk about money. I want to talk about what are we gonna do? None of us are working anymore. Like our jobs are closed down. We're stuck in the house. Our kids don't have this. How are we paying our bills? And it was crickets. It was like, yeah, I don't know about that, bro. Like, I don't know. So but then from that call, while we were still silent, we started talking about food and how all the kids are eating more and how it's costing more, and the supermarkets don't have sales, and that loosened everybody up.
I remember when you posted about that, you were like, I'm disappointed.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm still angry about that. Like, Stop and Shop, you get all our money. Aldi, you get our money. Why are y'all not giving us a sale in the middle of a pandemic? You're not getting charged.
Well, have you noticed that food prices lately have been, I feel like, down a little bit? Like, I bought meat the other week for like $2.99 a pound. They had avocados for 89 cents.
Oh, I need you to bring me some avocados.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
But that's something that came out of that call too, is we have one mom that lives upstate New York on the call, one mom that lives in Jersey on the call, and a mom that lives in Florida on the call. And
seeing the differences.
Places, the Bronx, prices were the most expensive.
Interesting.
Which is I mean, that's a whole other topic we could go into one day. Like,
well, this was just recently, like prices were definitely up, but like in the last like 3 weeks or month, it's like, I feel like because nobody was buying as much food and the prices were so high, and now they have extra, so they trying to off it.
They decided to get as much money as they could off of the schools releasing the food stamps. So
interesting.
Schools, I think they started finally putting out, because I know we started getting sales back, like the 3 weeks last month, we started seeing sales again. But it was like at the height when everything first closed down, there were no sales. Meat was like, I remember looking at chopped meat and it was like,
I didn't buy meat for a while. Yeah.
I was like, oh, we gonna go just chicken in the house. We just chicken. But that's how I was able to like loosen the moms up to talk about money. It was like, it had to be
okay.
And then it was like, okay, we can compare sales, but we're still not going to talk about money. I feel like, money is one of those things though that either you're comfortable talking about it or you're not. And it's hard,
especially too, because you don't want people to know like you don't have something, you know what I mean? Like you don't want to feel like people are trying to like, I don't feel bad for you, like so
I think it's hard. I feel like sex, religion, politics, and money are the 4 things we're not supposed to talk about in a sense. And it sucks because if you don't talk about them, you don't learn about them, and you don't know anything. And when it comes to money, this will almost take us back to what we're supposed to be talking about. Almost.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I have a connection already.
Almost. I feel like, and this is, I'm gonna speak from the I space. I'm gonna do my best to always speak from the I space. I grew up in the Bronx. I grew up extremely poor. I'm talking about we borrowed electricity poor. Like electric wire out the window.
Running in and out the window, yup.
Out the window. We cooked in the microwave. Like I had, but I'm the type of person that I have no hair on my tongue. That's how I learned how to say it growing up. Like I don't have hair on my tongue. I say what I think. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Like what's gonna happen? You know, when I was 15, sometimes I was gonna fight because you ain't like what I said. But as an adult, I don't have any shame in my game. I'm who I am, whether I present and speak like I'm having tea with the Queen of England, or if I'm just chilling on the corner. Like I'm who I am. So you knowing what I make and what I don't make isn't going to change me as a person, or it shouldn't change me as a person. And I think that that's part of the problem is we put so much prestige over what a dollar holds when a dollar doesn't change the person. You know, I've learned so much more from people that have been in jail, that haven't had a place to call their own, more so than I have for people that have been born with a silver spoon in their mouth. And I've sat at both tables, you know, like
right.
I've positions to sit at both tables. At 19, I was leading peace conferences across the country. I was sitting with, you know, money people, and throughout my life, I've sat with money people. When I worked in nightlife, I was counting hundreds of thousands of dollars in nights for some of these club owners. And I didn't learn anything from them that I couldn't learn from somebody that was hustling on the block. You know, and a lot of times those people that have been without know and are so much more willing to give and to share. So if, you know, I remember there was a thing where, you know, kids aren't supposed to ask you how much money you make. So if I'm interested in you as a teacher, I'm not supposed to say, Miss Edmonds, how much do you make as a teacher? Because that's taught that's rude to do. But the reality of why a kid is doing that is because they're trying to, in their head, figure out if that's what they want to make as an adult.
Right.
But if we tell a kid it's rude to ask about money, then how's the child supposed to know, wow, a garbage man makes that much money? I want to ride on the side of a truck. Like he gets to hang on the side of a truck. He gets to work 5 hours a day and come home and he gets what?
You must have been talking to my son, because when we ride our bike, you know, on Mondays, they collect the trash and he's like,
okay.
Are the garbage cans out today? Because he loves seeing those guys. He's like, how come they get to ride on the back of the truck? I want to do that.
That's dangerous. We tell kids they got to sit in the car seat, but like that looks so cool. But
yeah.
Somebody might look at them and be like, oh, you don't want to be a garbage man, but you don't realize how much money that garbage man is putting in. Like that's serious.
And it's way less dangerous today too than it used to be, because how the trucks are, like, they don't have to like do the lifting so much themselves and all that.
You know, but it's little things like that where there's another divide. So there's so many divides in our communities, but that's just one more divide where if you come from a community where you don't know how much somebody gets for a job because you've never heard of the job, you don't realize that the person that's at the pharmacy when you go pick up your mom's prescription is a pharmacist who went to school for this.
And are making
bank. You just see somebody that works where you might go and buy a toothbrush at. And you think that they make the same thing that the person at the counter is doing. But if we were comfortable sharing about money and jobs and real professions and what a profession actually makes and what you have to invest to get to that profession, then we'd be in a whole different position and we might respect each other a little bit more. You know, if you come from an environment where nobody owns a piece of property, then you don't understand what 5% of a down payment means as opposed to 20% of a payment. Or you don't understand when you walk in and Old Navy tells you, oh, get this credit card. You're going to pass. Don't worry, you got it. And now you're getting a $1,000 credit limit, but your APR is 24%. You don't know what that means.
That ain't like getting a credit on a water at the bodega.
You know, exactly. That's not you coming back and giving them 35 cents for the quarterback. That's like, whoa. You know, but we don't explain that. I remember I still have my first credit card from college. I started college in 1998. I still have that credit card. I started that credit card. It had a $250 limit. Now, I have no idea why they even gave me a credit card at 19.
Because they were trying to get you over.
Yes, but my credit was already messed up because remember I told you I grew up poor. So you know we had cable in my name at some point and every other bill in my name at some point. So I don't know how I got approved. But for some reason, I signed up because I wanted the t-shirt or the flashlight or something they had at that table. And I came back after winter break and I had a credit card and I thought I was living with my $250 limit. That credit card today has a $22,800 limit.
Oh, okay, big timing.
I had to learn on the go. You know what I mean? Like the only reason I got from 250 to 22K was because I learned what credit meant. I learned what it meant to pay back. I learned what it meant to miss a payment or four.
Yep.
I had to learn that, but I didn't have somebody to teach me that. Whereas I had friends that were in college that had their parents' credit cards since they were 16, so they understood what one late payment might be and things like that. But if we can't talk about money in our communities, or we can't talk about money to our children, then they can't get to that 22K. You know what I mean? Every child's not going to know how to figure that out. Like, I made myself a promise that I wasn't going to be poor, so I figured it out, and I asked questions when they were considered rude.
Right. And you know, like, we have kind of gotten off on a little tangent here, but it is so connected kind of to what we're talking about, or what we had said we were going to talk about with like learning pods and homeschooling in two ways. The first way is the access, right? The way, and I've seen a lot of tweets, a lot of things on social media out there to the effect of like, oh, well, it's not fair that some people have the opportunity and the resources to do these like homeschooling or learning pod type things. And then the other part of that equation then is, how do you even get that group together, right? And so you have experience in those two things a lot, just like getting groups, getting communities together. And then the second thing is making a lot out of very little. So what can we shift into that a little bit? Like, so just like start by telling me where you came across the idea of like homeschooling, learning pods, and then like the steps that you took to create that community and find those other parents who were also interested in doing the same thing.
So we've talked before, and I've been on the show before, and I think I've even mentioned it back then. I've never trusted the Department of Ed to be the only education my child gets. You know, I didn't see any people in history that looked or sounded like me until I took specialized history classes in college. You know, that wasn't, my reality wasn't looking at a woman of color as somebody that was powerful. I was just a character on a TV show, and not a main character, because I'm still not a main character on a TV show. So for me, I've always wanted to give my child a full education, and I'm a believer that whatever higher being you believe in, I believe in God, but everybody believes in their own higher being. I've always believed that that higher being has a wicked sense of humor and will deliver
super wicked, 2020 wicked.
Yeah, like, I mean, this is just like one little knock joke and that person, that being's sense of humor. But I feel like when you ask for something, when you really and truly put your desires out into the universe, you're going to get them back the way that you need them. Not necessarily the way that you see them and want them, but the way that you need them. And I feel like I've always played with the idea of homeschooling. Like, I remember when my daughter was starting pre-K, my boss, who's been was my boss for 10 years up until shutdown happened and all his companies basically closed down.
Oh man.
Yeah. But that's a whole other show. But he was even surprised that I wasn't jumping into homeschooling. He was like, when me and his wife were talking about what school I was putting my daughter into and how I found the school, he was like, wait, you really not going to homeschool? Because he knew that I didn't trust the system to educate my child. But I knew at the time, and I just didn't feel comfortable at the time, not taking her off the grid in a sense. Like, I didn't feel like I could necessarily give her the foundation. So I always said, okay, well, I'm going to at least do elementary school where they learn 1+1 and ABC and all that foundational work with with a traditional school system, and just supplement
and the daily socialization. Like, I know in homeschool there are definitely options like where you can supplement to get the same socialization, but I know for my son,
like, you gotta pay for those.
Yeah, exactly. My son, he just wants to go back to be with his friends, and like, you know, so like that's super important too. Yeah, and
it's a part that's missing. And when we start talking about what the world of education is looking like now, I think that's really important for us to talk about how that's gonna be detrimental in a lot of ways to them too.
Right.
But so I looked for ways to supplement. So my biggest supplement has been education.com. I think we paid, my mother gifted her the account, and I think it was like we caught a sale, like a Labor Day sale or something. I think we paid something like $175 for a lifetime membership.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Usually I think it's only like $2 something or $300. And I say only just because what we've gotten out of it, I feel like they could have charged 10 times that. Like, if they charged me $200 a year for education.com, I think it would still be worth it. And we got a lifetime membership for under $200. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was under $200. And I got it when she was like 3.5, 4 years old. And that, I've never had a sponsorship from them. I've never worked with them as a brand, but they have been my best investment. I'm sure you've seen me say that on social media because I'm constantly bigging them up, because I just think that so much of who my daughter's gotten her foundation from isn't really from her school. It's been from being part of this program that education.com has, these guided lessons that they do. And it's been so much that I remember having a conversation with our teachers this year at our final parent-teacher meeting. She's just left first grade, over Zoom or Google Classrooms with them, where they were talking about, you know, how she gets things so quickly, and that's part of the reason why they don't have to call on her. And because I said, you know, part of what made her lose engagement was that she didn't feel that constant involvement with her teachers. And they say, you know, they know that she misses that, and she misses being able to help her friends because she's the one in the class that would sit with her friends. She goes to Montessori charter school, so it's all about like community again, and involvement and group work and group share. So they said, you know, we know that she misses being able to do that. And I said, the reason that she can do that is because what you guys do with her on Tuesday, she learned 2 weeks ago on education.com. So she's been working on mastering it. So when it gets presented to her as a new idea from you, she's already visited it. So this is a revisit and a revamp and seeing it from a different angle. So it seems like it's natural to her, but she's worked hard on that. And for me, that was important to tell them, because I felt, you know, and it wasn't to take away from her glory, because I think my kid's brilliant. You know, I think she's a little mastermind.
Amazing. Absolutely.
I'm not lifting the curtain to make her be less than, but to show the work that she puts into things.
Right.
You know, and the work ethic that she's building, that I'm building in her, where, you know, right now we're doing clocks, we're doing time, analog time.
Oh, that's
so
such a cute clock.
I'm sitting at her desk right now. So
oh, that's not your Cinderella poster in the background?
You know, well, I share it with her. We're doing time telling, and we're doing introduction to multiplication, because on education.com, she's doing 3rd grade math as opposed to 2nd grade, what she's going into.
Okay.
So by the time she starts at her school, I mean, 3rd grade on education.com will probably be like 4 or 5 months into 2nd grade in her school.
Okay.
So, it's every school is different. We know that based on where they're at. So she'll catch up to it. But by the time they're doing multiplication in her school, she'll have gotten the basics of it. She'll have figured the foundation. So when she's actually being taught it by a live person, it'll come a lot quicker. And she'll have some of the tools and the clues that mommy has shared with her. So that's how we've done education her whole life. It's all she knows. You know, we do education, we go to the museum and we walk around, and she likes a statue, and we figure out, where's that statue come from? What's that statue made of? You know, what time period is this? What movie would this fit into? We go on vacation and we look at, okay, well, what ocean are we next to? Let's look at the globe. She has a globe sitting on her desk. Let's look at the globe. But I promise these aren't props.
Hey, she got a cute little setup. I need to come over there and use that desk.
I'm actually putting the picture up this weekend because we just revamped
my globe here.
See, that's a much bigger, nicer globe. This is like a little $5 globe.
I know.
But it works.
That is like only $25, $30.
You know, her little $5 globe works. It keeps her figuring out where she wants to go next. And we revamped her space a little bit now, because now we know what her day is going to look like a little bit with her school and things like that. But so for me, supplementing has always been just part of the game. So I speak a lot about the fact that when it comes to this idea of homeschooling or remote learning or whatever, quarantine schooling, whatever label we want to put on it, I'm coming from a place of privilege. This isn't brand new. She has her own computer. She's had her own computer for 6 months, 8 months, somewhere around that. She reminded me at the end of last year that I told her when she turned 7, she could have a laptop. So by the time she turned 7 in January, she had a laptop. You know, so
she wasn't gonna let you forget that one.
She was not gonna let me forget that. I said it to her on like her 6th birthday, because I think like right after whatever she asked, she was like, "But I want a laptop," and I was like, "You don't need no damn laptop." And
yeah.
Jokes on me, she needed it. So I'm happy at that time.
Oh, my son, since he turned 4, he's been talking about what he's gonna get for his 5-year-old birthday party, and I'm like, okay. I'm glad you think that.
They know. And it's a blessing. You know, this is what I mean about like, I speak very honestly and openly about my place of privilege. So I bought a little $200 Lenovo laptop on Amazon after reading 152 different models, makes, and reviews. I said, okay, this one sounds like it can get me by for a year. I bought it for me. I have a desktop. I have like 5 other old laptops that have worked and stopped working, and got a blow on this one this way to get it to work. And I'm sorry, my dad's coming. I got to let the door for a
Oh
second.
yeah, let him in.
Sorry. But so I actually bought the Lenovo for me, and then my best friend, the one that lives in Florida, knew that I had needed a new laptop, and she didn't know I was in the process of ordering it. And she talked to her husband, who was able to get one through his job. So
nice.
I got like a almost brand new computer from them. So it was easy for me to give my daughter the $200 Lenovo and keep the like $2,200 laptop for myself. So it was like, but again, this is coming from a place where everybody doesn't have a friend who can get them a new laptop. Everybody doesn't have a friend who wants to.
Right, I know, but here's the thing too, is like the way that you say privilege is not like somebody came in. It's not like you were born with that. You know what I mean?
No.
Like the way that you generate your privilege is
by being a blessing to others.
Right, exactly. Through your personality, through being awesome, through being amazing. And I think that it's very important to like make that distinction. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I'm privileged because I was born with this, or I was born with,
definitely.
with like a thing, you know, like I'm privileged because I'm a dope human being, and you could be dope too and get the same privilege, you know?
I love that way of thinking about it. I just think a lot of times we use the word privilege and people take it as an insult. So in a sense, I try to I use it a lot in my life because I have so many blessings. I'm blessed in so many different ways. Grandpa came home, so she's like excited and running back. But you know, I feel like I have so many blessings that sometimes I take a step back and realize that the reason I can make certain decisions is because of the space that I'm in, and that is a privilege. I definitely don't have that silver spoon. Listen, it's summertime. I'm starting to get my colors, so I don't have the white privilege that, you know, I have other friends that have. And
yo, listen. Today, my neighbor came out and she was like, "Girl, where have you been?" I was like, "I know." So, you know, I might be using some of my white privilege too.
I need to be hiding in your backpack sometimes. I be watching your adventures on social media. I'm like, sheesh. I need to hang out with Steph more.
Yo, you guys can come out here anytime you want. We got the beach right down the street.
Love it. I saw you guys on the boat the other day. I was like, oh, that looks nice.
Oh, you want to?
I don't even like boats.
We'll
I don't
bring
do
you on
boats.
the boat.
No, the little one. I don't do boats. I get seasick like looking at a boat.
I send her out here with us. We'll bring her for a fun trip.
She'll be ready. But you know, so I know that everybody might not have $200-300 to drop on a laptop. But I always think, you know, we don't ever have anything at the end of the day. You know, there's never enough money for anything. But if we say we want to do something, we figure out a way to do it. So while today I might not be able to put $300 down to get a laptop for somebody, for my child or myself, if I put $10 down a day for the next 30 days, guess what? It's done. If I put $5 down a day for the next 60 days, it's done. You know, we keep breaking it down until it's manageable. You know, it's like yesterday I wrote a tweet about, I was at the Dollar Tree, because I went to Dollar Tree to pick up some stuff to jazz up our learning corner here. And this woman was there with her daughter, and it was like, I felt so bad because I felt like I was judging her and I didn't want to judge her. But I'm standing over by the school supplies and looking at different binders and figuring out, okay, what are we going to use for ELA and what are we going to use for math? And the daughter's like, oh, look, they got school supplies. Little girl's probably like somewhere between 10 and 13. And the mother turns to her and goes, we ain't looking at no school supplies. School ain't opening. And I was like, what? How do you say that? School is open. School has not shut down. That's an insult to all of the educators that have been doing their thing and trying their hardest to keep kids learning. That's an insult for every parent that's been busting their behind trying to figure out how to make space in their house for their child to participate. That's an insult for every child that has had to give up all the fun part of school and stare at a device to get their education. To say that schools close, like that defeats the purpose of what school really is. School is not a building, you know, and so for me, that's going back to where this was originally going. If I told you, I'll ramble forever, is the idea that if we look at school as the only place for our child to get educated, then our child is never going to get educated. Because there's the whole meme and all the things that go around, like they're only going to educate you as much as they need you educated. You know, like
good enough to work the machine.
Good enough to work the machines. Good enough to use the cash register. Good enough to figure out what size you wear. Like they're not going to give you the power to take control. They want to keep you in the box. They want to keep you as a monkey thinking you're a fish. Like they're not gonna find what works for you. And that's why parents have to be involved. And that's what's missing. So many parents are not involved. And again, I say that, and this is another place where I say from a place of privilege, where I've worked from home my child's whole academic career. So I can be in their teachers' faces. The first thing I said to the principal of my daughter's school was, you're either gonna love me or you're gonna hate me. Because I ain't never leave my baby anywhere else. My child never went to daycare. She never went to nursery school. She's never been with a babysitter outside of her grandpa or her grandmother. She's never been outside of my family. So if you get in my child, you get in me, because I don't know you. And that's just the reality of it. You know, our PTA really isn't powerful in our school, but everybody knows that. It's so bad that her classmates think I work in the school, because I'm at every event. Every event the school has, I'm there. So she's at pre-K, kindergarten, first grade in that school. I've missed one event. And that event I wasn't at, but her grandfather and her cousin were at it. So she was still represented. So there's never been a time that I haven't been able to be at her school. My boss knows, listen, I get it. We got work today, but I got to do something at school. So how we going to make this work? And he understands that, because I'm blessed in the sense that he's about family first. So I get, though, that everybody doesn't have that privilege.
But also, I'm sure you show your value as an employee too, you know, and that's another aspect of it too, is you just all around have this type of ownership that it's like, okay, you have a boss, but at the end of the day, you own your own time and you know what your value is worth, and your boss knows that too. And I think that more people need, if they just kind of had that whole attitude from their kid going to school to their own job, you know, we would be at a little bit better of a place. So, and what I really love too is that, and you opened with this, that every parent is their child's perfect parent, you know? So even though on the one hand, okay, you're judging this woman and you're saying this is exactly the opposite of what we need, you also are acknowledging that she's working at the best of her ability. Mm-hmm. And we are all a community. And that's why my community needs me to be here, because in the end, we all benefit. And so what I want to know is how can we galvanize more parents? Like you had said, that you went to the DOE chancellor, New York City meeting. And the first meeting there was upwards of 23,000 people. And then at this more recent meeting is down to 10,000 people. And me too, I think that's what we're missing. The key ingredient is that connection between what's going on in the schools and what's going on in the community and the family. So how do we galvanize that energy and get people involved so more people can be proactive about creating these learning pod groups and about breaking things down? Okay, I don't need 200, I need 10 for the next 20 days. Like, how do we develop that more?
I think, so one of my main models is slow and steady, you know, and I feel like I try to live by slow and steady, but this is a situation where I feel like we need it now. We need it fast. We need people to be on it. But it's, you know, I share with you, you share with the next mom, that mom shares with an uncle, that uncle shares with an aunt, that aunt shares with a grandma, and we keep it going. And that's kind of, everything's word of mouth, I feel like. And it's funny. So when we were on the chancellor's meeting last night, I was in a WhatsApp group with my mom's group, and which is different from my homeschooling group, which is funny. That's why I'm saying, like, so these two pods came out and some of the people overlap, but I don't try to force my beliefs or values on anybody. So if this isn't for you, it's not for you. So we're going to take the people that want it from this group and we're going to put them in this group and add a couple more people and make it work. And that's pretty much how my two pods came together, my mom's and my homeschool. But I was on all the ones in my mom's group were still like involved, and we were on the chancellor's group together and we're in a chat. And as we're chatting, one of the moms is like, I got 17 people right now, and I'm exaggerating with the 17, but I got 17 people texting me, asking me what's happening in this meeting. Why don't they just sign on to the meeting? And I feel like that's what happens sometimes, where I'm like, I know Stephanie's going to be at the meeting. I don't got to bring a notepad. I don't got to take notes. I'll just get them from Stephanie later. Oh, Mel's going to the meeting? I'm just going to shoot her a text and ask her to send me what happened in the text. And I feel like there's some of that happens where parents are just so used to not having to show up because somebody's going to show up for them. And we can't do that right now. We can't You want to come sit with me? Come here. Oh, we got a boo-boo. Where'd you get a boo-boo at? Oh, you scratched yourself. Okay, ask Grandpa to get your Band-Aid. We got a boo-boo.
Oh no! Only mom can cure a boo-boo.
Grandpa's pretty good at them. She'll be all right. But so I think that's part of the problem is like we get stuck in our routines and we get stuck in what we're used to, and we don't like change. I hate change. I'm not good at change. I fight it every step of the way, even when it's good for me. But I think that's kind of what happens. If I've never gone to a parent meeting, if I've never attended a DOE meeting, then why am I going to attend one now? How am I even going to find out about it now? And this is where I think
that's my question too, is where do people find out about them? Because I didn't know it was going on.
I think that's part of the problem too. Like, I think I'm big on accountability. So I am not going to give you a pass if your child goes to school in DOE and you don't sign up for emails. I'm not going to give a parent a pass for that. That's the bare minimum you could do. You go to the website, you sign up, and you get emails, and that's it. Now, DOE on the other side needs to do better too, because every parent isn't email friendly. But DOE has every parent's mailing address. Now, whether or not every parent lives at that mailing address is another story. But they have every parent's mailing address. Why are we not receiving a mailer to let us know that there's going to be a chancellor meeting happening to tell us about what's going to happen for school? It makes no sense. So we should have at minimum received a mail something in the mail saying, I think the first one was like July, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, like July 15th or something, or July 10th or something. This one was the 27th. The next one's August 12th. And then I think there's one more after that. But at some point, we should have gotten a letter in the mail that said all 4 of these dates. You know, my community, again, is very tuned in. So while I might not have remembered there was one last night, somebody was going to send a reminder out. I was going to go on social media, and some account I follow was on it and was like, sign in for this meeting tonight. But everybody doesn't have that. That's not everybody's world. So DOE has a responsibility to us as parents, as caregivers, to let us know what's happening, and they're slacking on it.
And to be proactive about that too, right? Like I would even say, okay, like do the emails, send mailers, but like if you're seeing responses low, like, okay, we need to do active outreach to make sure we have the most updated information. To like, okay, maybe you would rather a robocall, maybe you want to text, like and I feel like that about individual schools too. I've said this over and over again about parent teacher night. Like, I mean, and I don't like to bash my own school, and I'm not trying to like bash it, but like even my school, which is like one of the top schools in the city, like our parent teacher turnout night is like pretty pathetic. You know what I mean? Like we need to do better. And
I think that's across the board. You know, I think there's one PTA I know of, or 2 PTAs I know of in the city, whole city, every borough, having parents that I know in schools in every borough. 2 PTAs that I can think of that have a good turnout, but that's because they have a really good relationship between the board and the school, and it's just been like ongoing. But there's so many that there's just like nothing. Like
I know,
a whole family association at our school. It's like me, hi, I'm here. I'm gonna lead the meeting. I'm gonna run the bake sale. I'm gonna do it all because we need some kind of representation. And that's what I mean about the 2-way street. We need to have accountability on both ways. And part of that is it's bigger than even what's just going on now. Like this is a really like we need a response in the moment action. We need, like they're saying they want people to say by August 7th they're gonna choose remote learning, but there's no airplane in the sky telling us we have till August 7th. It's you know it or you don't know. You know, maybe your school's outreaching, maybe your school isn't outreaching. There's no rhyme or reason on how it's done. Whereas, again, going back to let's try phone calls, text messages, Amber Alerts, whatever we need to do to get parents to know that this is what's happening, because you can't get an honest idea of what the numbers look like, just like those surveys they sent out. Those surveys aren't an actual reflection of parents and their children, the ones they sent out at the end of June, because first of all, you could take the survey more than once. So that already...
I took the survey. I was a teacher. I took the family one and I took the teacher one.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, but even as a family one, you could take the family one more than once. I took it more than once because I knew some of the parents in my school wasn't going to take it. And
you took it for them.
I mean, I might get in trouble for saying that on the air, but I've taken more than one, and I'm a charter school parent, so I should have taken it.
That's what I was gonna ask is, okay, because you kind of get this dual window, because you're a charter school, like you're technically DOE, but you also get to like kind of operate in your own, like make your own decisions at the end of the day. So that was my question is like, okay, you see what's going on in the DOE side, but as your charter school is a one-off, it's not part of a network or anything, right? Right. So as this like one-off, like small, nimble organization, how do you see the difference between the way that they are able to react, maneuver, and respond versus the way that this like really large, clunky bureaucracy of the DOE, like what's it look like?
Well, our school is far from a democracy. Our principal is the end all and be all when it comes to decision making. And he's also pretty radio silent. So all through, like, other than a robocall the Sunday before school ended, well, before the school buildings closed, we got one more robocall to tell us when to come in and pick up assignments. And then it was radio silence until like maybe the first week of July or first week of June, July, whenever like there was all the riots and everything happening in the city. And he didn't even say that he didn't do a call to check in on us about that. He did a call to tell us that we had to do a survey for our board.
Interesting.
So we, you know, I love our school in a lot of ways, but there's a lot of things about our school that have far to make it a positive place. We just got I have information about what our day is going to look like now, which is why I felt like I could go to Dollar Tree and start creating her learning center at home, because we just got that information this week. So we just put a survey in on if we're going to send our kids to remote learning or not. He did his own version of it, which is pretty much the same one that DOE has out, except the Google form version, so it's easier for parents to manipulate. And then he sent out what the schedule for in school will look like versus, and he didn't send out what the remote learning, but I asked questions because I like answers and closed mouths don't get fed. So I got more of what it'll probably look like. I didn't get specifics on like times and how many kids will be in our cohort or anything like that, but I got more of it's not going to be a live feed because I asked point blank, are we going to do remote learning similar to how we did it over the spring, which was a live instruction, well, very short, but a live instruction period coupled with some Google form homework and then some videos in, or is it going to be a live feed in the class?
Asynchronous and synchronous learning.
Exactly. I learned those.
If you wanted to hear those.
I learned those terms in the chancellor's call. So see, it was good for something.
I've heard them too many times.
The way I worded it was, or will it be a live feed via the classroom experience with limited engagement and involvement for the teachers and the home students? Because I wanted them to understand that I understand the difference between my child being engaged and learning through remote learning or just watching her class learn. And I think that that's part of, again, this goes back to where the parents have to jump in. I could have just left what he said, you know, in the email he sent the parents said, if you choose remote learning, your child will receive a full day of academic involvement or something like that. I wanted to know what that meant.
What does that mean? Involved how?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what does that mean? Because I could say, you know, I've had a very involved academic day because I've been watching National Geographic all day, movies on Disney, like, and I've learned from it. Does that say that I've met my social studies curriculum for the year? You know, so I want to know specifics on what things are. And I think that that's part of what happens. I think a lot of times parents trust, I'm at a slant. Our house isn't straight. I think a lot of times parents just trust the teachers. I put my child in your hands. You know the answers. You know what's right. And then that's it. So they're not going to ask questions. I am an ask question parent. When my child came home at the beginning of last year with the same spelling words she started kindergarten with, I asked why. This class has been tracked together. They all know these words because they are continually tracked together. We track kids in the school. I get that you guys are new to the school. I get that the way curriculum usually works is a review portion. But these 20 kids have been together since pre-K. They've mastered these words already. When are they going to move on? I need an explanation. I need to understand why we have started a brand new curriculum and you don't have the freedom to pull things from different parts of that curriculum. Because if I want my child to learn from a book, I can buy the book and teach her myself. But I'm aware enough to ask those questions because I'm there. Because I'm looking, when I pick her up at 3:30 and we're having pizza around the corner, I'm going through her folder to see what's in her folder. I'm not just trusting her to do her homework and just sign a piece of paper. I know what her homework is because I'm taking it. And again, I get if I was coming home from work and I'm working a shift out of the house and I'm tired and I have other kids to take care of, I might not be able to be as involved. So it's not a knock against those parents that don't get to dot every T and dot every I and cross every T, but it's saying that this is how I choose to parent my child. I want to know what's going on. And I want the teachers to understand that I know what's going on. And I know the power that we have as parents. And this is the time for us to take our power back. So going to the pods, that's what I did. I'm thinking about homeschooling. You're thinking about homeschooling. He's thinking about homeschooling. She's thinking about homeschooling. Why are we thinking about this as 5 different people? We're all very intelligent. We can all develop a curriculum. But why do we have to do this as individuals? I'm about the collective. And I feel like this world would be in such a much better place if people in charge were about the collective. We wouldn't still be here. We'd be getting ready for a traditional year of school if we were about the collective and not the individual. So I'm trying to raise a child in a world that's about the individual as a collective. I want her to always think about her community. I want her to always think about the people around her. And she knows that. Because I remind her all the time, we don't do things just because it's good for us. We do things because they help other people. We share a smile because you don't know the gift that your smile gives somebody throughout the day. We could be walking down the block and you smile at a stranger when you're walking by, and that changes that person's whole day. We don't know the magic that we hold. We don't know the power that we hold until we share that power. That's how we get blessings. We get blessings because we give blessings. We don't give blessings in order to get blessings, but part of the experience, the reason you get abundance is because you share. If you're greedy, if you only want for yourself, then you can't expect the garden to flourish. You know, we can't have a full meal if all I'm growing is corn and all I'm concerned about is my corn, because I'm never going to get to taste your tomatoes. But if I give you some of my corn and you give me some of your tomatoes and I
got good tomatoes.
Hey. But you know, we get a little bit from each of our gardens and we put it together, then that's a salad. It's no longer just a standalone vegetable, it's a salad. I want my daughter to grow up in that kind of world. I want to be part of that kind of world. So I try to plant those kind of seeds everywhere. So when I'm like hearing, well, you want to do homeschooling or some version of homeschooling, and I already do a version of homeschooling, and I want to up my game and become better at it and maybe even more involved, then we need to come together. Why are we trying to do this apart? So I brought everybody together, and you know, we're working out. We haven't gelled completely. You know, it's a new group. A lot of the people don't know each other because I'm really good. Like, I'm the type of person that I feel like if I know you, then you know everybody in my world. Like, that's just it. We all.
That's how I do too. I'll bring awkward people together. They'll be like weirded out at first, and then I'll be like, I promise you, it's gonna work out.
It's gonna work. It's gonna work. Just give it a minute. But I'm the worst because I won't even remember to introduce you. I'll have everybody sit at the table, pass the
just
plate.
like how we started right away. We just got on here. We didn't even say hi. We was just like, da, 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 da.
And that's because that's how my brain works. Like, if I let you into my world, then you're part of my world. So then you should know the rest of my world. Like, you should fit with the rest of my world. Because if you don't fit with the rest of my world, then that means that you probably don't really fit with me. And something's going to come off at some point. And I realized that. So I was like, listen, we're going to stop talking. I'm going to stop having a conversation with you here and you here and you here. We're going to all come together and we're going to figure it out. So what came out of our first talk was that we all want the best for our kids. Just like I'm sure every other parent in the world wants. They just want the best for their kids. And we all know that sometimes we can give that best and sometimes we need help from others to give that best, which I think is a really hard thing to do. And I feel like becoming a mother humbles me a lot because I never knew how to ask for help before I was a mother because I never had a reason to. I'd figure it out or I'd do without. You know, it was nothing. I can't figure it out. Okay, then I don't really need it. It's not really that important to me. But as a mother, there's sometimes things that you need and you don't necessarily know how to, or I'm not even saying as a mother, as a caretaker, I'll say, because everybody's family looks different, which is another lesson that I teach my daughter on a regular basis. But speaking from the eye space, as a mother, I don't always have all the answers. I don't always have all the resources, but my village is plentiful. My village is far reaching. So I'm going to come out now and I'm going to go on Instagram and be like, listen, my daughter wants this and I don't know how to make it happen. I'm going to go to Twitter and be like, has anybody seen, what do you know about this topic? When she was 3 years old, she decided when she was 2.5 that she wanted a Barbie cake for her birthday. With the cake with the doll in the middle. And I said, okay. So around June or July, when she was 2, she decided this. And I said, she's not going to want that come January. Her birthday's not till January. She'll be like, she's 2 years old. She's not going to remember this. And every couple of months, she would bring it up again, right? So now her birthday's the end of January. Now it's the beginning of January. Holidays are over. I do Christmas huge. Like, I start shopping for Christmas on December 26th. So from December 26th on, I'm shopping for her next Christmas. So by the time Christmas comes, I don't want to spend another $1. Her birthday's in January, we go away. I don't have $1 outside of my budget to play around with. So January comes and she's like, Mommy, you made plans for my cake, right? Again, she's 2. And I'm like, well, what cake did you want? Did you tell me what cake you wanted? Because I'm thinking, well, if I act like I don't know about this Barbie cake, she gonna come up with something else. This little girl goes, Mommy, I told you I want a Barbie cake. And I'm like, you sure you want a Barbie cake? She's like, yes, okay, you'll get a Barbie cake. Don't worry, you'll get a Barbie cake. I don't even know if I was planning on having a birthday party for her at that time. And she cons me into a birthday party every year, because every year I tell her she's not gonna have a party, and every year she gets a party, right? So I'm like, okay, you're gonna get a Barbie cake. I start calling bakeries. This cake is gonna cost me over $100. We're not having no huge birthday party. Our birthday parties, at that point, she wasn't in school, so she didn't have like friends. I don't even know what blogging. So it's not even like she had bloggers.
She didn't have friends.
She had cousins. So at this point, because I wasn't even blogging yet when she was 3. So it wasn't even like, I had this big group that I had to impress on social media. Not that I really try to impress anybody on social media now, but it wasn't even like that kind of thing where it was like, okay, well, you have these friends that you see at events. No, she had her cousins. I wasn't spending $100 for her cousins and her godbrother and my friends' kids that are her cousins anyway. I wasn't spending $100 for a cake for these little kids to eat. No, I'm not spending $100 on Barbie cake. So what I did, I called them, what are we going to do? Because your child, the group child wants a $100 cake. Don't you know, we was on Michael's website looking for templates and pans, and I found a YouTube video, and I had friends sending me YouTube videos, and I figured out how to make this cake, right? And now I'm not going to say it looked Pinterest
I'm going to need a picture now. I'm going to need some evidence of this cake.
I'll send you the cake. It's 4 yees back on my Instagram, but I'll send you a picture of it, because it was funny. I was looking at it the other day. That's why I think it's in my mind. But I figured out how to make it. And then there was a snowstorm, so she couldn't have the birthday party anyway. Chuck E. Cheese was cold. She wouldn't let us cut the cake. We had to hold the cake and take it. I had to carry the cake from my house, which is up by like Yonkers almost, down to the 161st Street Chuck E. Cheese on the train, because she wanted to take it with us to Chuck E. Cheese. The week after her birthday, it was hard. It was all kinds of, but we had that
so
cake.
Cute though.
We had her birthday, her Barbie cake, and my village came together to make it feel like a birthday for her. And that's what this is about. I've always been about figuring things out. And I come to my village when I can't figure them out. And I learn how to do that as a mom. And I feel like a lot of times that's what it's about. It's about humbling ourselves and saying, I could have been on my Suzuki stuff and been like, oh, I'm just going to throw $100 out. But if I would have thrown that $100 out, I wouldn't have been able to take all those kids to Chuck E. Cheese, because my budget was set a certain way. If I wanted to impress people, then I would have been worried about what is the homemade cake with the crooked skirt going to look like in a picture. So it's about becoming humble and saying, I want the best for my child, and I'm willing not to look my best in order to give her her best. And I think that sometimes as parents,
bars right there.
I think we let our own pride get in the way of our parenting. And I think that we're in a position now where we can't do that. I can't afford to hire somebody to teach my child by themselves. But I saw this amazing thing on Instagram that this homeschooling mom that I follow on Instagram put up the other day. And I think she got it from somebody. I think it's one of those things that's kind of just going around now. But it said, if you're not happy with the way your Department of Ed, because they're not New York based, but basically if you're not happy with how your school system's handling reopening, then figure out how to budget $250 a week, grab 8 to 9 other friends, and hire a teacher. Hire a teacher. Offer a teacher that much money and give them a full-time job. Let them be that's your pod. That's your cohort. That's your class. Find a teacher that's willing to work for that and do that. And that's a brilliant idea. If you're not happy with the system, there's always a way out of it. And we forget that. A lot of times we think, well, if I'm homeschooling, that means I have to sit with my kid for 8 hours a day and figure out how to school. That's not what homeschooling is. Homeschooling isn't sitting and doing 100 worksheets for the day. Homeschooling isn't opening up a Eureka textbook and doing lesson plan 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the day. Like, schools don't do that. Schools are working on lesson 1 for 7 days half the time because there's kids in the class that don't get it. You know, homeschooling is taking a walk and looking at what you see in the street. It's what kind of car is that? Where's that car made at? Let's look at manufacturing.
Oh, don't get into the cars with us. Oh my goodness. My son and the cars, obsessed with the cars, and you don't want his taste. I don't know where the boy learned BMW, Mercedes. He never been in one of those cars. He doesn't know what it's like on the inside, and yet he knows that. I think it's because
that's what you want.
One of our good family friends, like, they have 3 boys, and they like cars, like that's their thing. And so they used to really be into like Mustangs and cars like that, but now they're into like BMWs, and one of them works for BMW.
Oh, nice.
So he has like a really nice BMW, and then he has like an old classic one, and then they got his mom like a good deal on like a sedan. You know, like they're not like super rich family or whatever.
But it works for them.
Right, exactly. And so he sees their BMWs and he's like, I want that car. And I'm like, great. And then he'll be in my car. He'll be like, Mom, I'm pretending this is a BMW. I'm like, well, you better pretend away, because that's as close as you can get to one.
But, you know, and that goes back to what we were talking about before, about the idea of being able to talk about things with people. So for him, he can talk about it and find out, well, this is how they all get BMWs. You know, that's a lesson in itself. And I think that we lose track of the fact that lessons are everywhere. Like, my daughter gets tired of hearing about how there's a lesson in this. Like, everything, like, she's like, Mommy, I know there's a lesson in everything. I know there's a lesson.
I can see that right now.
I need to share that. And she's like, she's over me sometimes, because I'm like, but did you know? And she's like, really? We have to do this now? Like, I just want to eat the pizza. I don't care how the pizza was made and how much flour and water. I just want to eat the pizza. And I mean, but that's how she learned to spell pizza. Pizza was one of the first words she learned how to spell because she liked pizza. So I was like, well, let's look at how we spell pizza when we go to the pizza store. And while we're waiting for them to make our pizza, Pizza, Pizza. And it became a song. And at 3 or 4 years old, she was spelling pizza. You know, I think she learned how to spell pizza right after she learned how to spell her name, which, you know.
I see my son, he was like, when can I drive a car? I was like, you can't even spell your name, let alone drive a car. And then you better believe that day, all we did was spell his damn name because he thought it would give him one step closer to the car.
Now, Mommy, I know how to spell my name. I drive.
You should have seen him. He was like so upset. He was like, oh, did you just tell me I don't know how to spell my name? Are you calling me stupid? That's not what I'm saying.
Challenge accepted.
I'm just saying that we should probably learn to spell our name before we die.
Baby steps.
Listen, we just getting started. This is amazing stuff. I mean, first of all, Melissa, just huge heart, doing amazing things for her community and her daughter, and so many just little tidbits of advice, learning all around us. And me and her, we just always have a good time when we get together. So look out for part 2 that's coming out tomorrow. And in the meantime, if you haven't already, I'm gonna need for you to hit that like button. If you're new here, welcome. Class Disruption family, hit that subscribe and that bell so you get notified every time I drop a video, and share this video. That is the most important thing that you can do so we can keep this disruption spreading all around the globe. And before we get out of here, I'm gonna ask you one more time, just a small donation, $1 or $2 to my classroom. It's through a nonprofit I started, Making History with Miss Edmonds, and you can check out all the things that we're doing in my classroom. My students are doing amazing stuff. Support their work using the PayPal link down below. Very much appreciated. Again, check out part 2 coming out tomorrow. And until next time, you know what I need you to do. Stay foolish, y'all.